Misinformation is a dangerous beast. It preys on our trust, our fears, and our desire for simple answers. In a world saturated with information, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. It's easier to latch onto a simple story, even if it's false, than to grapple with complexity. Former President Donald Trump, a man who built his career on exaggeration and hyperbole, has unfortunately become a master of misinformation. His pronouncements, often delivered via social media or in front of adoring crowds, have a way of bypassing critical thinking and burrowing into the public consciousness. This is particularly true when it comes to politically charged events, such as natural disasters. The recent Hurricane Helen, which ravaged parts of the southeastern United States, provided fertile ground for Trump's misinformation machine. In the storm's wake, as communities struggled to rebuild and families grappled with loss, Trump saw an opportunity to score political points by spreading false narratives about the federal government's response. Hurricane Helen was a tragedy on multiple levels. It brought with it devastating winds, torrential rains, and widespread flooding. Homes were destroyed, businesses were shuttered, and lives were lost. In the face of such adversity, the American spirit of resilience and compassion shone through as neighbors helped neighbors and first responders worked tirelessly to rescue those in need. However, even as the recovery effort got underway, a more insidious storm was brewing, a storm of misinformation. Trump, never one to let a crisis go unexploited, took to his social media platform of choice to spread false and misleading claims about the federal government's response to the disaster. His claims ran the gamut from the outlandish to the demonstrably false. He accused President Biden of ignoring phone calls from the governor of Georgia, a claim that was quickly debunked by both the White House and the governor's office. He asserted that FEMA funds were being diverted to house undocumented immigrants, a charge that had no basis in reality. Trump's claims about Hurricane Helene were not just misleading, they were demonstrably false. Let's take a closer look at his most egregious claims. Claim Biden ignored calls from the governor of Georgia. Fact-check: Biden was in regular contact with the governor. Claim FEMA funds were used to house undocumented immigrants. Fact-check: FEMA funds are for disaster relief only. Claim only $750 in aid was offered to hurricane victims. Fact-check: aid reached up to tens of thousands of dollars per household. Claim no rescue efforts in North Carolina. Fact-check: numerous federal agencies were actively involved in rescue efforts. Section 4. The political calculus of misinformation. So why would Trump, a man who has never been shy about his disdain for facts and truth, engage in such blatant misinformation? The answer, as is often the case with Trump, lies in the realm of political expediency. By spreading false narratives about the Hurricane Helene response, Trump was able to achieve several political goals simultaneously. First, he was able to sow doubt and distrust in the Biden administration, painting them as incompetent and out of touch with the needs of everyday Americans. Second, he was able to rally his base, many of whom are already predisposed to believe the worst about Democrats. By feeding into their existing biases and grievances, Trump was able to solidify their support and energize them for future political battles. Finally, and perhaps most cynically, Trump was able to distract from his own failings and misdeeds. By creating a constant churn of outrage and controversy, he was able to keep the focus off of his own legal troubles, his questionable business dealings, and his overall chaotic and ineffective presidency. Navigating the information landscape. In the age of social media, it's crucial to be critical consumers of news, actively engage, question, and verify information. How do we become discerning consumers? Consider the source and check for bias. Look for evidence and be wary of emotional appeals. Don't be afraid to change your mind. Section 6. A call to action. Truth in the age of disinformation. We live in a time when truth itself is under assault. Misinformation spread by bad actors with malicious intent threatens to undermine our democracy, erode our trust in institutions, and poison our public discourse. But we don't have to let the forces of darkness win. We can fight back against misinformation by arming ourselves with knowledge, by demanding better from our leaders and our media, and by holding each other accountable for spreading falsehoods. The fight for truth is not a partisan issue, it's a human issue. It's about protecting our democracy, safeguarding our freedoms, and ensuring that future generations inherit a world where facts matter and truth prevails. So the next time you encounter a piece of information that seems too good to be true, ask yourself, is this the truth? Or is it just what someone wants me to believe?